Saylor bought 12,000 Bitcoins. Was he the institutions buying? And basically there was no other demand in the market other than him. Let's take a deeper look into this video. We're also gonna take a look at what does this mean with Binance getting rejected in Germany. What does this mean with the crypto euro or euro stablecoin or whatever coming out? This and a few other things. Let's dive in. Hey and welcome to today's video. My name is Julian. On my channel, it's all about making you crypto fit. I discuss the beautiful world of decentralization. I try to put on different hats. On the one hand, CEO of the entire Cake group of Bake. I invest myself heavily in crypto. I obviously do a lot of videos, explainers. I write books on this subject. And so I always try to kind of talk about things from a different perspective. I try to give you insights that I know from friends of mine in the industry, things that I'm hearing. If you hear a bit of the raining background, Singapore, I live in Singapore. If you don't know that, it's rainy season right now, which is on the one hand good, because that means it's cooling down a little bit. But on the other hand, it's really wet. Good, let's dive in. If you have been following me on this channel, and I hope you are, I hope you're subscribed. If not, that's your moment to subscribe. Remember, you subscribe, the Bitcoin price goes up. So you want the Bitcoin price to go up, you better subscribe. You don't want to put a bad omen on this, right? So subscribe. On Wednesday, I did a video where I discussed institutions buying or front running, and I kind of expressed a bit of my skepticism of all that. Yes, we saw this one data point where about $200 million of institutions were buying, but I said, look, this is basically nothing. I'm not sure this really has much legs. Let's kind of wait a bit of some more data. And then very interesting, today, or yesterday, depending on what time zone you're in, the news came out that Michael Saylor bought about $350 million of Bitcoin, and that was probably the main reason on why the price pumped so hard in the past week. My thoughts on all this, and I shared this on Twitter, I'm very skeptical around this. And I'm very skeptical because Saylor now basically owns 1% of all Bitcoins. This doesn't make me very happy as a Bitcoin investor myself. Also, I mean, one thing that's really crazy, and I pointed this out, him buying 1% and almost his position is underwater. So just think about this. You have one person basically buying up 1% of the entire liquid market, but actually the price dips lower. And I think that's crazy because that just means that if he ever has to sell, and I know there's a lot of people out there who think he never has to sell, it's just ridiculous. And it's just because he says something doesn't mean that this is exactly what's going to happen. Like he's going to say this because he has to say this in order to kind of really defend the position. But there's a lot of reasons on why he would have to sell. And it all starts, for example, with government regulation. Just imagine it's going to be very, very tricky for regular companies to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And there may be a very easy reason that this is going to be very difficult going forward, especially with Bitcoin spot ETFs coming in. So there may be a lot of kind of shuffling around. And so I just see this as a huge, huge, huge danger point. And I mentioned this several times. I love that Saylor loves Bitcoin, but I would prefer him to actually invest into the industry. I would prefer him to take the $350 million and actually invest and do something. Now, here is my point why he's not doing this. Because I think the MicroStrategy business is kind of going down, and you see this in the numbers. They're cash flow negative actually in the business. And if him investing in these startups is not going to allow him to put the same kind of equity onto the balance sheet. And so the only way for him to do this is to invest in Bitcoin. And I don't know, I just don't think that is a helpful play for Bitcoin in general. Yes, it supports the price right now, I get it. But what? Is he just going to keep accumulating Bitcoin and whales are going to be dumping on him? Because that's basically what happened, right? So if you think about this, it's him taking away the Bitcoins from very long-term hodlers and him basically being in a minus right now. It's a negative price spiral as a whole, and I just don't think that is very sustainable and very productive. So this is just my thoughts around this. I mean, let me know what you think, but I am not the biggest fan of this entire thing. So yeah, and it's very clear in my opinion that this was the main reasons on why the price spiked up, and probably this entire institutional stuff is very, very negligible. So let's see what the data does. But I mean, look, right now the price doesn't do much, so I really think this is kind of the story right now. Moving on, Binance got rejected in Germany. I don't think much of a surprise there with everything that's going on in Binance. They seem to be losing a euro payment processor there as well. None of that very surprising. Let's see how Binance is gonna juggle out of this. And look, two things. Either there's just a lot of concentrated negative news now around Binance, but there's actually fundamentally not much going on, or Binance really fundamentally has issues right now. Let's see. I mean, look, I want to be very careful here. As the CEO of Bake, we do have a certain competition to Binance, but yeah, I think all the players who are gonna try to play this right, who are gonna try to stick to regulation, who are not gonna over-regulate, but who are not gonna under-regulate, I think we're gonna win in this entire kind of cycle right now. And I think, yeah, those players that are either gonna get over-regulated by becoming a bank, or those that are gonna try to stay in the kind of black market are gonna lose as well. And we saw this from KuCoin coming out. KuCoin came out and said, we're gonna do forced KYC, and something they haven't done in a long time, and I think that's absolutely bonkers. Yeah, I don't know how they can justify doing that, but anyways, they go in this direction now, so yeah, quite interesting. The other news that came out, Eurozone mentioned that maybe in the next 5-6 years we're gonna see a blockchain-based euro stablecoin, and basically becoming the third kind of form of digital money, or the third form of money, of paper money, or physical cash. Then you have digital euro, and then you have crypto based. And obviously the big difference here is that it gets settled on a blockchain. Now, very interesting to kind of see also a bit of the hesitancy. Not everyone is super excited about this, even from a kind of regulator kind of point of view. It would be, I mean, of course, China has been having something like this, but the Eurozone, definitely aside of, I think, the US, one of the major kind of financial players in the world, would be very interesting to kind of see this. I'm super skeptical and doubtful about it. Also, I didn't fully understand. They were talking about being able to do offline payments. I don't understand how you're going to settle offline. So maybe it's more like a side channel or something, and they want to have this for privacy. So quite interesting to kind of see a bit of their thoughts. It's something that I was in a work group in, I think, 5 years ago. Interesting to see how now this stuff, 5 years later, is actually coming out. So, yeah, I think that's an interesting direction. One other thing, CME is coming out saying that they want to do ETH Bitcoin ratio futures. Very, very interesting. So I think that's going to be a very interesting one, because it's probably going to be quite attractive to bet on that ratio more sometimes than to bet on the entire market, because the entire market sometimes is very influenced by very strange events, and being able to bet on that ratio is going to be quite interesting to see. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting what CME says about this. And last but not least, I made a tweet yesterday where people really got triggered, and I said that DeFiChain has a higher probability to, or has it easier, I didn't say probability, I said has it easier to reach a new all-time high in comparison to Bitcoin. And people got triggered left and right, of course. But and then they said, oh, this is like a financial advice or something. No, it's absolutely not. This is just pure numbers. It's way easier for a coin to go from a couple hundred million to a couple billion than it is for a coin that's already at 600 billion to go to trillions. It's just entirely more harder for these super large things to move even higher. So I know this triggers people, but then of course the flip side is true. It's also more like it's also easier for DeFiChain to go lower than it is for Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin is just such a behemoth already, right? So it goes both directions. And I know this triggers people, and I know laser eyes have a very hard time with statements like these, but it's just fact. And people would have, if people would be more rational, they would have no problem with this, but people are not. So of course, I mean, look, it's no secret, I invest in DeFiChain. I am long DeFiChain. I want DeFiChain to succeed, but these are very statements like these are very factual. Actually, they're not much opinion. Yeah, it's just easier for something to go from 100 million to over a billion than it is for something that's hundreds of billions and go into the trillions. It's just way harder. Yeah, so it's just pure kind of market size and everything. So yeah, great. That's it. If you get value at this, let me know. Click the thumbs up, click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss future videos. Any of the key kind of events that happened in the week that I didn't cover, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about Saylor. Oh, why is the music going up here? Yeah, let me know what you think about Saylor and him buying all these Bitcoins. Is this bullish or is this bearish? I mean, obviously it helps the price, but I think value-wise, Bitcoin's value goes down because of that. Yeah, let me know those thoughts, and otherwise, see you next time. With this, thanks so much. Appreciate it. All the best. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I'm a bit, yeah, I have a bit of a cold, stuffy nose actually. Yeah, hope it goes by. Thanks so much. Cheers, everyone.